Welcome in to the new members and to the old members that have found their way back to the community. I need you just as much as you need me. In this morning's update, we're going to show another perfect example why spot is king, why leverage trading is very difficult, and even though overnight it looked good going up to just over 70.3, 70.4 cents at about 5:30 this morning while I was still asleep, we've seen XRP come down and retest that lower liquidation. And in my opinion, that liquidity grab was to take out all leverage traders going long. Whether you were from a couple days ago, whether you started out at 66.6, 67 cents, depending on how strong of a leverage you had. Like I said, I believe the longs and shorts, they're on a liquidity hunt. This is how we continue to garner liquidity to continue to move and adjust once again. For the leverage traders, just be very careful out there. I try to show perspective in both ways, but I continue to say spot is king for a reason, because during these up and down, left and right, volatile swings, as we continue to see, it makes too much sense to let the market just continue to take our money and or to continue to take traders' money. And that's why I say build a spot position first and let the leverage trading be what it will. Yes, there's easy money to be made there if it works out properly. But if you have quick liquidity strikes, like we just did, we went from 703. Let's see where we were at exactly. This is going to be a beautiful update. I know some people are going to be thrown off because XRP is kind of retesting this area and trying to break down. But we're going to evolve this pattern again for each and every one of us to see the wideness and the length that this is starting to take now. So, but as we can see, 5:30 this morning, it came all the way up to 707, 5:45. Within a 4-hour period, when it looked like everything was going good, you're talking about a 6.7, about a 7% liquidity drop. So you're talking about a bunch of leverage just got hammered all across the market. And now we have to see, are we starting to reverse? So in this morning's update, we're going to look at the very crucial 66.6 cent, 67 cent line that we have managed to come down and wick below. But once again, we're holding. Bitcoin came down and very strategically tapped its support here, its pivot support, instead of it being a pivot resistance. And I'll talk about that on the Bitcoin chart. So just because it looks red this morning, we still must have our emotions in check. We must still have a fundamental understanding of what's going on in the market and exactly how this is going to play out. I see opportunity, but at the same time, I see a lot of risk. Depending on the kind of trader you are and depending on the emotional standpoint you started this morning with, you could either be in a make it or break it mindset. Me right now, I'm in a make it mindset, which means even if we do break down, I'm going to try to look at this from a objectable standpoint and play the winner, not the victim here, and be positive, not negative. And I'm going to look for the opportunity that'll present itself. Right now, we haven't lost anything. Right now, we're in the exact same fundamental setup as yesterday. In fact, if we could hold this tap, and because Bitcoin came down for liquidity, if we could hold this, it could be a volatile swing out of here. I mean volatile. So we're going to go into the ebb and flows here this morning. If you are watching, please make sure to hit that like button so that YouTube will recommend this update. It will bring in not only new viewers, but old viewers as well. As when you do hit that like button so that YouTube will recommend the video, it allows us to pop up in more feeds as we become more of everybody's algorithm. So with that being said, let me do the intro because we have got a lot, and I mean a lot, to talk about this morning. Good morning, 10:25 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, March 14th, 2024. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. No good rallies go without a little bit of consolidation. What goes up must go down unless it gets consolidation along the way. Right now, Bitcoin, we'll start there. It's at 72,000 and some change. Bitcoin came down, and if you wanted to have a retest without breaking down, this is how you had to do it if we're not going to break down. So there's a few things we have to pay attention to in the 15-minute. We came down and perfectly touched, and we can now, it's basically there. 71,000, it's actually a little bit, we hit 71,439 as of right now. Technically, where we had it was the old areas at 71,397 approximately, where we had a nice consolidation, Then we created what looked like an inverted head formation. So we had a nice little consolidation, dump down, looks like a little head. Now, could this just be another consolidation like we had right here? And then we have to see. Now, this is contingent upon the fact that we don't get rejected on the 15-day, the 200-day moving average in the 15-minute. Because if we do get rejected and we continue to break down, our next logical target for Bitcoin is going to be coming back down to the bottom of that rising channel at about 68,800. And what we've done already is we've hit that technical target a couple different times at 73,773. And this is the consolidation we have front ran. If we got rejected here but didn't lose the support, we came down here, rejected, consolidation, rejected, come back to support now, try to prove 71,397 is true support now, this pivot point, since we did fall through the first time and come right back to the uptrend. So that's what we're starting to see right now. This is what we're starting to see. So are we going to hold this 71,347, cement it to ourselves that that's the new support, and then finally break up and push to the top of the rising channel? Or do we get cemented here and then we start to break down and come back to the uptrend and see how we go? So that's our two options here this morning for Bitcoin. 71,397 holds on this first drop, and then we push back up and then get back on top of 73,773 for the first time. Or we continue to break down and we find ourselves at 68,800 range. Like, I don't choose to play the victim even when it's going down. These are my happiest times to be on, not because it's red, but it's my happiest times because we can see a pattern form and then we can make an honest decision, an honest and informed decision. Right now, we fell outside of this. So as I've just stated, we need to get back above here. So 6865 is where we're going to try to get back above. Unless the pattern has shifted a little bit and we can say, well, with this more recent evidence, which I like evidence. Oh, I like evidence. Unless with our more recent evidence, we're doing this. Which, you know what? When I'm looking at it, I still think this is a bullish consolidation. We didn't hold this. But now I very well think that it probably expanded a little bit. It's either you could say this. We could say this. Now I'm going to keep both formations on here just so we can see if in fact some kind of weird breakdown is happening. Okay? We're gonna keep this on just in case. Just in case we are getting a breakdown here. Oh, hold on. Let me fix this. And it did come down a little bit on that wick. What the hell? Because I want to see if we're going to get rejected here. I'm very, very interested to see if there's a rejection coming here. Because we can basically front run this if there is. With our fundamental understanding of what would have to happen. So I'm just going to go like I did before. I'm going to go from that wick. We're going to come across. No, it's too much. We got to keep it like this. That is what it's showing us. That would be too much of a misrepresentation. Now that we've got this hit, now we can see what's happening. We had a wick come outside of it, but now we can see what's happening here. This could get very interesting very quickly here. Is all I'm saying. It's a very interesting setup right now. Because if that's in fact what's going on, unless because of the evidence you say it came across and maybe you could do it. Maybe I would do it like that. Probably like that. That's exactly what I would do. I'm doing it like that. It's my chart. I want to, with the most updated information we have, I want to be able to nail this technical analysis depending on what it does either way. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting because right now we have not broken down. But if we do lose some of these levels, and let's just say 66, here's the most obvious level to me that's worrisome. If we lose this, and right now we've come back down, and this is good if we hold it. This would be a great liquidity grab. So we came down, bounce around, back to consolidation, back up, back through. Now, if this is the initial dump, and then we start pushing out, like we still have a lot going for us. We haven't ruined anything yet. That drop down today did nothing to the pattern. Legitimately nothing. It hasn't changed anything. It might have made some people nervous because of the drop down, but it still remains. We haven't changed anything. In fact, this just makes it stronger the longer it doesn't break down because it's given us a reason to pump. If we go back and look at Quant's pattern, Quant right now is at $136.48. Quant, before it broke up, and then we talked about this with XRP just in case it happened. This was the bullish handle, broke up. Then it came all the way back down on a liquidity candle. Came up, down, and then it shot out. Right? And now it's consolidating. That's what XRP is actually doing right now. If we don't break down, XRP is actually consolidating quite nicely, if you ask me. If we look at this from this perspective, let me put this in the daily. And like I said, there's a lot of information here this morning. Please make sure to hit that like button so YouTube will recommend this video. And if you are looking to trade XRP during this consolidation, or just if we do have a dump down and you can find an opportunity to buy, look in the video description below and our pinned comments. There's BITUNIX in the USA or around the world, as it turns out. But in the USA, there's the lowest spot fee, the lowest spot fees on futures and leverage trading in the USA. You don't need a VPN to trade on their exchange, so you won't feel like a criminal. And they're up during high times of volatility. They've been up all day today, so you don't have to worry about not being able to trade in a high times of volatility. They're actually here during every moment. So make sure you click on that in the video description below. If you appreciate what I do, consider joining Tom's Army or sending one YouTube super chat per month. And then make sure to hit that like button so that YouTube will recommend this update so that more and more people can find this community. So what we've seen out of Quant before it ran out. So this is the bullish handle that we have. We ran out and then Quant ended up retesting the handle right before it broke out. So we broke up to 74. Now is it possible we retested at 617, 616 before the breakout, or can we hold the 66 or 67 cent level right here, which was the rising channel resistance from June of 2022 that we had been resisted on, but now we've been supported on here as of late. So that's the cup and the handle formation. So unless that handle broke down, this is still very bullish. This is still very bullish for XRP. It's just we're in a consolidatory phase. And unless you see us break down that handle and start pushing back towards the bottom of the rising channel at roughly 43 cents, this is still a very bullish pattern. Yes, we have liquidity strike here, but we'll see. We'll see. Right now, it could be a little bearish though on the onset, which means that we could retest down here. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out though in an overall scale. I was trying to keep an eye on the total crypto market cap here as it's at 2.631 trillion. And we've had a straight up, basically. We had a 2.71 trillion target. And if it were to rotate back down, there is a real chance if we lose this that we would have to come back down to the rising channel uptrend. And that would bring us down to around 2.4 trillion. We have a pivot point at 2.51. But we've had a very long pattern right now to the top. So we're going to see if this is part of the consolidatory phase. Now, the one thing I will notice, I mean, I guess we did kind of hit it at 2.71. So, I mean, technically we could have finished off a cup here, but it could go a little bit higher for the actual realization of the top of the cup too, though. So we have to be cautiously optimistic. But this is what I say every single day. Just because we expect something doesn't mean it's going to happen. I still expect XRP at some point here to hit 82 cents. It's just we don't know when it's going to happen, and we don't know how much consolidation comes or which part of the pattern we're in. I fully expect it to hit that rotational part. It's just how big of a consolidation do we have to take if we break down is always the big question. Is always the big question. And right now with Bitcoin, it's a big question to be left because we don't know what Bitcoin's going to do. Bitcoin is overextended. But until the rally breaks down, we've seen this before. It has these big flows of consolidation. And then if it's ready, it can move back. In the smaller time frames, we are starting to overextend a little bit for the overbought. Just slightly, nothing major. But there is going to be an area of recollection here. So right now, though, Bitcoin is on the 200-day and the 30-minute. So if we're going to have some kind of rebound retest, this would be the time. This would be the time to come back up here, maybe even to 72,600 or 700, 800, maybe retest that bearish cross. If we're going to do it, this would be the time. If the market cap doesn't do it and we decide to rotate, well, this is where it could end up having a nice little drag here, you know, and try to come down to the uptrending support. But right now, if we're going to make a rally, the 30-minute, the 200-day, and the 30-minute time frame, we're at for Bitcoin. So if we're going to do something, now would be the time, if you're going to make a rally to 72,800, to even see if you're rejected on that bearish cross in the 30-minute. So if you're a short trader, just pay attention to that. If you're a long leverage trader, pay attention to the volatility and the fact that this could literally go either way for this consolidatory phase. XRP is still on the top side of this cup and handle, with the handle formation being formed still. But we could be bottoming a little bit for the short term for Bitcoin. If not, Bitcoin's next target, if we don't hold 71,397, it could very well be all the way down at about 69,000. It could be down at 69,000 if we don't hold this. So pay very close attention to this upcoming swing here in the next probably 45 minutes to an hour. If we have a positive swing up here, you're going to see a nice little rebound out of altcoins. It might not get them back to even for some of them, but this would be your so basically we had a drop through, nothing just falls straight through, but you don't know where the first rebound is going to happen. So it could be at 71,300 where we just hit, and that could bring us up to 72,800. And all of a sudden the short traders are like, what the hell's going on? I was just in a great spot. Otherwise, if this does fall through, we know it's going to be a pretty substantial drop down of about 3,000 points for Bitcoin. I mean, that's just the truth. It'll be about a 4,400 point drop if it continues moving down. Otherwise, you could have a 1,000 point move up to retest, which happens very often. It's not very often you have a pattern like this where you do get the bearish cross finally, and then they don't at least retest it. It came down perfectly the 200-day, touched the pattern pivot. Now, would it come up to 72,800 for a retest and to see if we're truly bearish? Because you've got some cryptos that are, you know, taking a beating right now. Taking a beating. And a lot of these needed this cool-off pressure. It was just a matter of, did we break up before this cool-off? But now it's cooling off. We're definitely cooling off. Bitcoin, like I said, that's our options right now. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. Bitcoin's either going to go up and retest that bearish cross up here around 72,800 range, 750 range, or we're going to break through 71,300 and we're coming right down. And this is approximately 69,000 area, 68,800. That's what we're looking at right now. So it's a very volatile morning, but as of right now, XRP is still holding that very critical support. So a lot of these cryptos, even though it looks very bearish, they came up and now they've come back down to their support zones. Like even XLM's down 4.3%. It got rejected up here. Now it's either we're coming back down to this support at 13.4 cents, or because we're being overextended here in the smaller time frames. That's what I'm trying to point out. In like the 15, the 30, you can see it, 45. We're starting to get a little overextended. So at some point, even if we do have a continued downward momentum, we're going to have some topside resistance, a little meat of liquidity, so we can continue the drop. Where's it going to come, though, is the only question that I cannot answer right now. I don't know if it's going to push right through here at 71,350 and it's going to target 68.8, or if it needs to come up to 72,800 to get that next tap of liquidity so that it could fall through if that's the plan. I don't know right now. It's 50-50. It's 50-50. It's looking a little more bearish right now. But it's absolutely 50-50 whether or not the market ends up coming through right here, or if Bitcoin goes back up to 72,800. This is what I'm very interested to see this morning. It's about all I'm paying attention to right now, is to see what Bitcoin does and to see if XRP can hold this level of support, and it's right at it right now at 66,000 or 66.6 cents. We have the 200-day that it tapped at 66.1. Now, if we're destined to push up we would have a move up and try to retest that 682 level or 68 cents. That's what we'd be looking at. And the fact that we're starting to become overbought in some of these lower time frames, although it is starting to push back down a little bit as far as the RSI, it could be speaking to the fact that we're going to have an upper retest. So maybe they're going to, like when we're going up, how they like to liquidate the shorts on the way down. Maybe now, or I mean how they like to liquidate the longs and we'll have little volatile spikes to the downside. Maybe now they're going to try to liquidate the shorts and we'll have that little spike back up. I don't know, though. It's very tricky this morning. It's very tricky. Right now, as long as we stay on the top side of these levels, we're still bullish with the optics of this drop this morning. But if we continue moving down, like XRP past 66.1 cents, Bitcoin past 71,300, those are breakdown areas. If you break down those areas, well, then you might have a obvious retest to the downside. But right now, I'm being cautiously optimistic that Bitcoin is still going to try to come back and retest the bearish cross in the 30-minute. It's so far held the retracement down to the pivot point around 71,300. And we've gotten back on top of the 200 right now for Bitcoin. Not by much in the 30-minute. Not by much at all, actually. But right now in the 30-minute time frame, and this would stop that overall transformation to the downside, we need to hold 71,600 for the 200-day approximately, and then obviously 71,397 for that pivot point. So please make sure to hit that like button so that YouTube will recommend this video. I hope that this update helped put things in perspective, whether it's bearish or bullish from here. From a mental standpoint, stay emotionless, stay positive, and like I always say, I'm not a financial advisor, so what the hell do I know? I'm not trying to make a prediction. I'm trying to see what the most likely pattern is here. So hopefully this found you well, and please make sure to share this. Hopefully you are still doing your due diligence even though it's red today, because on red days is when we find out more information than on green days. It's that simple.